Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's the Common Collector and happy Halloween week. We have finally come to Ghostrick week, which I'll be doing a Ghostrick video one day, at least one day a week for this whole week leading up. So today is Friday, the 24th of October, 2019. So I will be doing my Ghostrick Beatdown deck profile. So let's just get right on into it. Pretty standard. I'm starting off with 3 Jengshis. Jiangxi is your main searcher of the deck, so very important to try to get this out by your first turn, which is why you run 3 of it. Next going on is your next big searcher, special summoner of the deck is Ghostrick Doll. I've kind of thought of bumping this down to 2 or even 1, but the reason why I like playing Doll at 2 is because this is my only level 2 that I play, and going into So Cute Boss and potentially locking your opponent out of their link zone is pretty spectacular. So I like the idea of keeping Doll on the field or in the deck at 3, just to be able to potentially get into So Cute Boss if I need to. Next, moving on to 3 Marys. Again, this is a card that some people like to bump down to 2, but I really like Mary at 3 just because that means that any time that you take damage, you should be able to search and add to hand with Mary, or special summon to your field with Mary. So very, very good effect, very important card to try to keep at 3 if you can in the deck. Next, moving on is 3 Lantern. I like Lantern just a little bit more than the other battle hand trap, Jack Frost. I just think that Lantern is a little bit more versatile. It doesn't have to be a direct attack. It can be on a direct attack or when your face down is getting attacked. So if you don't see your field spell right away, Lantern is a little bit better. If you're playing like the lockdown mode with like Ghostrick Knight to where your opponent can't flip their monsters back up, then doing a couple Jack Frost is handy, but I like 3 Lantern instead, so no Lanterns in this deck. Going on to the 1/2 of in this deck is Spectre. I like Spectre at 2. It's just, again, kind of like the whole thing with Mary, is that whenever these instances happen, you need to get this effect to go off. So when you take damage, you need to have Mary, and when one of your guys gets destroyed, you have to have a Spectre in hand, and then just drawing the extra card is really nice. Moving on to the 1 of, I play 1 Stein. I don't play this in the mill version, but just because we never really attack, and you can't, when you have Parade on the field, you can't inflict any damage, and his effect goes off from inflicting damage. But I really do like having the 1 Stein in the deck. He's the strongest of the Ghostrick monsters, so 1600 attack beater is pretty nice. Moving on, the 1 Mummy, if you remember in my mill profile, I really do like playing the 1 Mummy just because, and I'll show in a combo later on what he can all do. I do run one of the skeletons, even though he's we're not doing the mill style. If you do start to kind of get pinned down by your opponent and your whole attacking strategy isn't really working, skeleton might be your next best option. And these are the 3 biggest beaters that we play in the deck. So him being 1200 attack really does help him keep a spot in this beatdown deck. And if you can take a couple cards off your opponent's deck, it's not the end of the world. It'll hopefully hurt some of their combo pieces. Moving on, 1 Ghoul. Ghoul is also a very nice card to keep in the deck. It makes it so one of your monsters gets the combined attack of all of the other Ghostrick monsters on the field, and then that can be the only monster that can attack that turn. So it's very nice if you can get your board looking with all of these guys. You're going to have a monster with like over 5,000 attack. If there's a link monster that you can't get destroyed or something, if you can just beat over it with Ghoul's effect, that's very nice. Even if you just have these 2 on the field, and these 2 are something that we like to see on the field quite a bit, then you can get to 2,700 attack right there, which can get over a lot of cards. So that's all for the Ghostricks. Moving on to some of the other new tech cards. If you can tell by the title of this video, this is a danger style deck. There's not a whole lot of danger Ghostrick builds, so this might be the first one, but I'm trying this out. These are 2 cards that I really want to bump up to 2, but they are the 2 level 3 monsters that work really well in this deck, so you can go into your Alucard and go on further into Angel of Mischief. But the one Nessie is nice in here, but definitely bumping these up 2 more is nice. As for now, since I don't have 2 more copies, I have 2 Bigfoots, and Bigfoot can also be used to get over link monsters that you can't destroy, but otherwise just think of these as 2 ofs. That will be changed once I get my hands on some more of those. Moving on, lastly, for the monsters is just two kaijus. Really, any kaijus work. If you can get your hands on the dark attribute kaiju, that'll also work. But this is also like the lowest attack one, so I liked running that just to again tribute over your opponent's link monsters. So the dangers are in here for bodies to go into link or XZ plays, and then you have the kaijus to tribute your opponent's link monsters that you just can't get over. Moving on into the spells, playing 3 parades. Now, again, we're trying to inflict damage, so parade really won't work as well as it did in the mill style. But you do need to, so I am playing 2 of the mansion, and mansion is what you want to go into later once you have your combos set up with your parade. So I just bumped this back up to 3 because I wasn't really seeing my field spells enough, and you need to see these first turn, and running 5 field spells in here will definitely help. So I really like that. Moving on, 2 Swords of Concealing Light just to keep your opponent's monsters face down. 1 Terraforming so we can keep seeing those field spells. 1 Monster Reborn, Twin Twister, and a Regeki. If your opponent's just starting to build up a board that you can't take down, Regeki is your next best option to take that out. So that rounds off for the spell cards. And moving on into 3 Ghostrick Scare, pretty standard. It's nice getting off your effects. The best way is sometimes with Scare, your opponent gets up a nice board, and if you have a doll or something, you activate Scare, then that means that at the end of the turn, your doll is going to flip everything back face down, and you can go back into your combos your next turn. So moving on, 2 of the Vanish, I had to bump that down. I liked playing it at 3, but there just wasn't enough deck space. This is already a 45 card deck, I think, so Vanish had to go down a little bit. But playing 2 Drowning Mirror Force, I got rid of the Quaking Mirror Force, I believe, from my last deck profile. I like the Drowning just because, again, a lot of the cards in here are focused to try to get around the link monsters, and these 2 are in there as well for that. So just to try to stop the link plays, this really works for that. And then the rest of the cards, such as Swords of Concealing Light and like Ghostrick Scare, those work mostly for trying to stop anything that's not a link monster. But for the link monsters, you got to play stuff like that Solemn. So moving on into the extra deck, 2 Saryuja. You don't usually go into 2 very often, but you can definitely go into 1 at least. 1 Boral Sword, Nightmare Phoenix, Nightmare Cerberus, and a Wee Witch's Apprentice, Decode Talker, and 1 Link Karibo. So again, we don't really go into these very often, but Saryuja is kind of my favorite option for the link monsters. And then going on into the XZs, playing 2 Dullahan. Dullahan is a very good option for when you get your level 1s out. And then again, I mentioned the So Cute boss. If you can potentially lock your opponent out of their extra monster zone, that could be a really serious play that will help make this deck a little bit more viable. Again, this isn't a super competitive deck, but if you can lock your opponent out of that extra monster zone, you might be looking a little bit better. Again, going into 2 Alucard and 2 Ghostrick Angel of Mischief to round off the extra deck monsters. I'm now going to go into a little bit of a small combo tutorial, and so stick around. Thanks. Alright, so now I'm going to go over a small combo that seemed to sort of pop up a lot while I was playtesting the deck. So just as a hypothetical, this is a pretty common opening hand. At least these cards are all 3 ofs in the deck, and then any of your other monsters. So let's just say that we start off with our Parade and our Ghostrick Scare with doll face down, pass to our opponent, and our opponent gets out, possibly 3 to 4 monsters. That's pretty common that can potentially be attacking us. So they go into battle phase, our opponent attacks, Parade gets off a search, so we will add into our hand a Lantern and discard the Mary when we take the damage. That special summons Jiangshi from deck. So now we have our 2 main searchers on the board. Our opponent declares another attack. So then we'll search off Parade and add Mummy into hand and discard our Lantern in order to special summon, and now we can negate that attack. So now we have 3 on board. Depending on whatever our opponent still has on the board, we could now at this point activate our Scare on their next attack. So that still means we can add something. So we'll say that we add another Scare. Let me go through my deck here. So we'll add another Scare from the deck in order to replace that one that we used. But so now our opponent's 3 monsters will get flipped face down when we flip ours. So that's very nice to get off. So now these 2 effects will happen, and Jiangshi can search and add a level 3 into hand. Really, actually, we'll save that for later. So we'll go for a level 3. We'll take our Stein. So, and now our hand is looking like that, which is very, very nice. A lot of potential options going there. So that goes off. Hopefully their battle phase will be over, and Dahl will flip everybody face down, and Dahl can now special summon a monster from deck. So we'll just say that we get our Skeleton. Again, Skeleton's not really like a key player in this deck, but anyways, we draw for turn. So here's our hand, draw for turn. We'll just, anything neutral, so we'll just say Twin Twisters there. And then we will do our flipping. So anybody who doesn't have relevant flip effects right away, so Dahl and Lantern, then go into Jiangshi. Jiangshi can search anything up to level 3, but I think we'll just go for like a level 1 search for Spectre. And then we could go ahead and summon another monster. I think in this instance we'll just summon Stein, and we'll flip our Skeleton. Now we'll be able to mill 5 from our opponent, take these 2 and rank into our Alucard. So now that we have Alucard on board, we could detach, destroy a set card that our opponent has, and thanks to Dahl, our opponent should have a whole bunch of set stuff on the board. Actually, we will detach Stein just in case. That seems a little bit better. But so now that that's done, we can destroy one of our opponent's set cards, potentially a trap card, hopefully. That way we don't walk into a Mirror Force or anything, whatever they would have. Again, now we'll rank up into Ghostrick, Angel of Mischief, detach in order to add a spell or trap to hand. So now we'll add Vanish just for extra protection. And now Alucard's effect when hitting the graveyard, we'll add our Stein back into our hand. Now what we can do, keeping going with this turn, is we can take all 4 of those, go into Saryuja. Saryuja will add 4 cards into our hand. So, oh, and I forgot with Angel of Mischief's effect, adding a search onto with its detached. So we will add Mansion into hand. So at the moment, just keeping up, our hand is already this. So we have a whole lot of options. So I'll just shuffle the deck, pick up any random cards. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. And by the way, I hope you guys liked my ghost white sleeves for the Ghostrick deck. But so anyways, anything that we really need in our hand is already in there. We're going to hold on to our Mummy and either our Ghoul or our Stein. I'm just going to go with Stein in this instance. But if there was a Link monster or something that we really needed to beat over, we would go with Ghoul. So now any of these other guys we can send back into the deck. So we'll just do this. Oh, we need the Mansion. Yeah, again, really like not super important, but we'll send back the Ghoul and send back this extra Scare. Hold on to the Mansion, and we will replace our Parade with the Mansion so that now we can do damage. So in our hand is now still all of this. We special summon Mummy and with Saryuja's effect, and then Mummy will allow us to have an extra summon with Stein, which is very nice. We could Twin Twisters and discard something in order to destroy any other spell or traps our opponent has on the board. And now Saryuja's attack will be cut in half during the damage calculation when he attacks directly, but potentially all of our opponent's cards are face down. These are still in our hands, so these could potentially get set during the end phase, and we have a little bit of defense. And so now we can swing in for, we have 31 damage there, and whatever, 28, 1400 damage right there. So I hope you guys like this. Just a little bit of a way that you can kind of get your combos going, and we already went through a whole bunch of cards in our deck, just starting with a simple 5-card combo that you can really see in really a 4-card combo that you'll see a whole lot while playing this deck. So anyways, thanks for hanging. I hope that you guys are excited for the start of Ghostrick week. I know I am, so I'll catch you guys later, and I'm gonna keep filming because this is gonna be a busy week for me. Catch you later. Bye.